Much for being here this evening. We'd like to call to order the regular City Council meeting on Tuesday, August 7th, 2018. At this time, we'd like, if all of you would please rise, we'd like to have Brandon Curtis come forward. He's going to give our invocation. He participated in the mock City Council and gave the invocation there, so he's going to do it again for us today. After which, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by the twins Alana and Rihanna Lemorin. So if you'll offer the pledge for us afterwards. Brandon, it's all you.
Lord Jesus, I come to you humbly, giving thanks for the parents in our community, the kids in our community, and our leaders in our community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may all be seated. Great job, you guys. This time, we'd like to move to a roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilwoman Gussie. Here. Councilmember Manfredi.
Here.
Councilmember Smith. Here. Councilmember Wade. Here. Vice Mayor Chapados.
Here.
Mayor Price.
Here. Great. Thank you very much. This time, we'd like to move to item 3, which is proclamations, acknowledgements, and awards. And we have a presentation that is going to be done by Councilmember Henry Wade, where we are recognizing the Youth Mock City Council and thanking them for their service in putting on this Mock City Council meeting here a few weeks ago with the Councilmember Wade and the councilman on the corner. Councilmember Wade.
To do it after they've gone on their summer, out of school, or now back in school, and so we had an opportunity to do so. So I'm going to call your name. When I call your name, please come up to the front and pick up your certificate. Okay. Madam Mayor, Rihanna Lemorin. Mr. Vice Mayor Curtis Burton, L. Jr. Kate Pullen, Mr. City Councilman. Devon Wade, Mr. City Councilman. Isabella Dawson, Ms. City Council Member. Maverick Dawson, Mr. Executive Assistant to Councilmember Dawson. Bria Lee, City Council Member. Bria is not with us this evening, but we'll recognize her as well. Selena Gibson Davis, Ms. City Council Member. Mr. Brandon Bradley, City Manager. Mr. Devin Burton, City Clerk. Joanna Lemorian, City Attorney. Amani Fair, Public Works Director. Anaya Fair, Director of Economic Development. Emily Stockman, designer, consultant, and guest artist. Brandon Burton, as you saw, invitation. Alani Lemorin, Pledge of Allegiance, Part 1. Rihanna Lemorian, Pledge of Allegiance, Part 2. And Kaya Richards is not with us this evening. She was a guest artist as well. Oh, I have some more here. Rob Dobson. Oh, Dawson, technical advisor. Another one here. Oh, Maria Gail Randolph, program director. And last but not least, Ms. Vice Mayor Peggy Chapados, technical advisor. Thank you guys very much. And don't leave yet. I got some stuff for you guys as well before you go. So actually, I'm going to do Naya, Mani. I'll give these to you right away. These are your business cards, so you can pass them out to other people again. Maverick. Maria. Isabella. Yes. Jovan. Katie. Selena. Rob. Gail. Rana. Curtis.
While Henry's passing out those business cards, I just wanted to let you guys know that these kids did a phenomenal job. They had a choice of projects to pick, and the one they chose to champion was a beautification project to get us an entry marquee that says, "Welcome to the City of Maricopa." So I've had many talks with the city manager about this. It's something I think most of our citizens would get behind in a heartbeat. We need something that says, "Welcome to Maricopa." So thanks to Councilmember Wade and to Gail for doing this, and thanks to Rob Dolson for his help and participation, and thanks to the kids, did a great job.
And real quick, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor, for trusting in this idea and being behind it 100%. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for coming in and helping us with technical advisor. Thanks to all the rest of you guys for, just being and encouraging this to take place. So, and you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and participating in this evening. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now that they all have business cards, I was trying to get one of the business cards from our new city attorney, because I don't think we need a law degree in the city attorney's office or anything. Just kidding. Sorry, Dennis.
It's funny that you should mention her, because she is going on to an application for youth council as well as a student body at her high school. So she took the bug here and ran with it.
Awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations. That's what it's all about. Thank you very much. That concludes item number 3, which is the proclamation section. Thank you, Councilmember Wade. That'll take us to the report from the mayor. Just real briefly here, Councilmember Smith talked earlier about our little trip to the MAG Economic Development Committee today. At that time, we heard from a variety of different speakers on different things. One of the things that I sent to council today was the information that we had gotten. MAG is currently underway doing a study for commuter rail, and while it doesn't necessarily directly affect us, it will be part of the potential expansion or addition of Maricopa County has what's known as a transportation half-cent sales tax. It is a Prop 400. It's what all the freeways you drive on were built with, and so they are talking about, going on to, as that tax comes to an end, asking the voters to extend it, and that will potentially anything is possible at this point, but they're talking about a commuter rail. It's not a cheap option, but it's amazing what the cities that have commuter rail have been able to do. That's different than light rail, that's different than high-speed rail, but commuter rail really does help move people back and forth and get them out of their cars. So interesting concepts to look at and to think about, but the EDC really was focused on how that affects economic development and what that looks like. Also had the opportunity to go to California here a week or so ago. I was there visiting a developer that is working here in the city. One of the things we are trying to do is pull a piece of dirt out of the ground and working very jointly with this developer. They've gone through the process, won the RFP, but in discussions with this developer, what's really been interesting is that this is really a small project for them. I went to see two projects that they're working on, and the second one I was over there for a dual role. I'll talk about the other role in a second, but they have been awarded 150 approximate acres in LA County. And if you know anything about LA County outside of LA in California, you can't find 150 contiguous acres anywhere. And when you're talking about big, massive economic development projects, to be able to do that, it's a really big deal to both not only win that award, but to be able to do something with it. And the reason they won is that they're one of the few developers willing to take the risk to redevelop what's called a brownfield area. That's an area that was once a dump or some sort of waste location, and so you have to go through and you have to mitigate all that. And when you're a developer trying to pull something out of the ground, you don't know how much that's going to cost. It could be $50 million, could be $150 million, could be $1 billion. You just don't know. And so it's a real risk that you take on. But just to give you some size equivalency, Disneyland and all of its acreage is not 150 acres. So that gives you some estimation as to how big this project can be. And so it's nice to know that they are working with us here in the city. We're working to work collaboratively with other landowners to actually increase the size of this property and see what may come from it. I was also over there for a dual role, though, and the other was the changeover of command in the U.S. Corps of Engineers. I talked a little bit about that and why it's important. The U.S. Corps of Engineers is who's in charge of our floodplain, and as we try and solve those foundational issues here in the city of Maricopa so we can see more things come out of the ground, you have to deal with the post-Katrina world that we live in. And so FEMA has ultimate jurisdiction over this, and in order to get something built to fix those problems that FEMA says exist, and with the topography and where the hydrology says that the river will flow when it rains, and you may or may not have seen this the other day in the rainstorm that we had here, how we can have barren dry land for all this time, and then 1 inch of water drops, and it's amazing because suddenly it's got to go somewhere, and in Arizona it doesn't absorb, it runs, and so that's why you see all these retention basins in your neighborhood. But imagine a storm that lasted a couple of days that dumped 3, 4, 5, 6 a foot of water. And what you start to see is this floodplain that exists in Maricopa. And so in order to solve these problems, you have to work through the powers that be. And so we spend a lot of time in Washington, D.C. working with the Corps, working with our federal representatives. And as the Corps goes through changeovers every couple of years, what you really start to find is you find a colonel in charge who really knows what they're doing. And Colonel Gibbs was that for us. And so we hate to see him go, but that's the way the Corps works. But we also don't want the new person to come in and not have any understanding of all the work that we've put in thus far. And so we wanted to make sure that they had a direct invite, that they remembered us from being present at something as important as this ceremonial changeover. And so invited them to, specifically him, to come out to this area, learn about the project. And we're kind of lucky in this instance because the previous colonel is now going to Washington, D.C. to work for the general, who's in charge of basically all projects in the western segment. And so basically we'll have two people working for us on this project now and helping to direct that. I think it's it's also important to note that we have another relationship with a colonel out of Tennessee who actually shares some co-jurisdiction with this project. So really, when you look at it, we kind of have 3 points, magical triangle here working on this particular project through the U.S. Corps of Engineers, which is highly unusual, and so it really sets us ahead in getting this project done. So just wanted to make you aware of that. And then finally, as most of you were, I think perhaps a lot of you were there, we saw the Ross grand opening here just a little bit ago, a couple of weeks. So had the opportunity to go there. Earlier in the work session, we had a young lady here by the name of Amy. Amy is working with ULI, Urban Land Institute, working on some other projects here. We're talking about the city center specifically, but at the same time, she works jointly with the Peterson Group, and the Peterson Group is a land development group, commercial, retail, et cetera. And so we've been working with them previous, that complex that Ross went into and came out of the ground. That was a developer by the name of Vintage Properties or Vintage Group, and Casey Treadwell, excuse me, has now left Vintage and is at Peterson Group, and so we're working very closely with him. The reason it's important to work closely with developers that have a vision for what something can become is that, you know, there's a lot of developers out there who want to come and go, that want to just, you know, get in, get out, make their buck and be gone, and they don't have a vision of what someplace can become. They may not listen to, you know, the city leaders, city staff, et cetera, to you all. And say, what do you want to see? And if they can't get in and get out, then they move on to greener pastures somewhere else. And we know that when you're dealing with challenges like we have in Maricopa, like any city has, you know, who's willing to put the time in, invest the money, and understand that this is a long-term play? Not that we don't want to see it happen quickly, but who's going to deal with the challenges? And so just like a few seconds ago, I was talking about that developer that will develop a brownfield. Well, that takes a long time to get through because you have to have sign-off by the EPA. That's a federal jurisdiction. And so anytime you're dealing with the feds on anything, it can take a long time, but if you don't have somebody that's willing to put in the time, the work, put the connections into it, and really believes in the area, then they're going to be out as fast as they got in. And then nothing happens because it takes effort, it takes headache, it takes a lot of sacrifice before those developers finally make their money on the back end when everything sells. So sometimes they have to sit on that land for 10 or 15 years before they're able to align the stars to get everything to work. Now you got to work with the city, you got to work with FEMA, you got to work with the Corps, you got to work with you know, commercial folks like Ross and others that, you know, decide, well, if this person's going in, I'm not going to come. And so then everything shifts and it gets really tricky. So economic development is not as easy as simply saying we have a need, there's the land, it should happen. It's very much about aligning the networks, bringing the stars together, and making sure that the relationships all make it happen. And sometimes it can take a while to do that. So I just wanted to keep you apprised of what we're doing on our end to help move these projects forward, but at the same time, what we're trying to accomplish as we do that. So that's the report from the mayor at this time, and we'll move on to the report from the city manager. Rick? Oops. Told you.
They don't want me to talk. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to give a brief report. To start off tonight, I'd like to call upon our Community Development Director, Martin, to come forward to recognize two of our employees who have distinguished themselves by some of their actions and as a byproduct has distinguished the city. So please, Martin.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, two people in my department just recently have gained some recognition. And first is the person who's not here tonight, Rudy Lopez, who is our senior planner, has obtained his AICP, which is the American Institute of Certified Planners, which is the certification for planners. So that means that now all four of the planners, including myself, are all certified. So that's a great accomplishment for Rudy, so we're very proud of him.
Congratulations.
So Kazi's here as a witness, and he can report to Rudy that I embarrassed him when he wasn't here. So the other person is, you may know that we have this little program called SmartGov that we like to talk about quite a lot. And we have had a champion for that program, but more than that, that person has also receive recognition for going all over the state, having people from all over the country come here to see what we have done with that program and to sort of educate as to, hey, it's not just about the program, it's what you do with the program and it's how you use it. And so Robert Matthias, who's here tonight. You stand up, Robert. I won't make him come up here. But Robert received recognition from the Arizona building officials recently at their state conference and received this award for achievement in education. So I guess you can't come up here. So that just to pass along that we've got some great accomplishers, if that's a word, in my department, and we just want to pass on the happy stuff. So,
Thank you very much, Martin. Congratulations to all involved. We appreciate it.
In addition to that, at the recent Arizona Public Works Association conference, Bill Fay accepted on behalf of the city of Maricopa the 2018 Public Works Project of the Year for the Edison Road extension.
All right, congratulations.
And then I'm going to ask Denise to come up and she introduce the new economic development team.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm very excited and honored to introduce two lovely women tonight. Aisha Maxwell is the city's new business development specialist. She has over 15 years of experience in communications and business development. Her most recent experience includes 5 years at the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, where she wore many hats. She was a senior business development manager, small business consultant, business retention consultant as well, and then brownfield manager. So she will be dedicated to business attraction and retention efforts, which entails keeping a pulse on the local businesses, providing resources to our small businesses that are currently in business or thinking about getting into business, and cultivating relationships that will generate leads for Maricopa. Aisha's local to Maricopa, and she's been here about 3 weeks now.
All right. Welcome aboard.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and honorable council members. I am very, very happy to be here. Economic development is dear and near to my heart. I love it. I love everything it stands for. And when I applied for this position, I thought that it was a great match with my skills and my abilities. And I'm looking forward to taking economic development to the next level here in Maricopa. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have, hopefully, a very familiar face for most of the people in the room. We have Ellen Buddington as our new marketing and communication specialist. She has an equally impressive background, over 13 years of experience in communications, public relations, sales and marketing, event planning. Her experience spans wide. She worked in the Ritz-Carlton in Hawaii. I don't know why you left the island, but we're happy you did. She also worked with 2 local HOAs and UltraStar. She'll be responsible for executing the economic development marketing strategic plan, as well as our public relation efforts, updating the Maricopa Matters website, doing the social media outreach on all of the Maricopa Matter channels. But this is not just, all the fun stuff that you'll see. It really is content creation, influencing, telling Maricopa's story. The mayor and I talked a few weeks ago. We have a lot of great data. We really need it to start telling our story so that people understand why this is an ideal place to live, work, and invest. So with that, I'll let Ellen come up and share a little bit about herself.
Good evening, everyone. Even standing here, it's very surreal. Moving down here in 2011, I recall the running joke about the Holiday Inn Express that would never open, and us only having a Dairy Queen here, and taking the Citizens Leadership Academy and the portable trailers in the Heritage District. And this was barely a twinkle in an eye, and to be standing here now to where the economic development has progressed so beautifully that it's come from these jaded residents who would never think anything would open to where it's almost commonplace to have new storefronts and businesses open. And that's a huge testament to economic development council and the team here. And to be in a position where Denise has all the data and the team has all the data, but they can't afford to bring somebody on to tell the story and to share that story of who Maricopa is, what we represent, our identity, is very humbling, and it's an honor to be able to be in that position to assist. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in about 60 days, hopefully with a new staff member, because we do have the management analyst position open. So hopefully in a few months, we'll be able to share that we are completely staffed. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So Mayor and Council, just a couple of quick sound bites related to economic development. As mentioned previously to an email to you, we met with the Grapevine Group recently and have began to work on a performance service agreement that we can bring forward for the development of Estrella Gin, and we anticipate that being on one of the agendas in September so that we can begin to move that forward. So we're excited about that. We also met with the Inglewood Group this past week regarding the Vista Village project in a pre-application meeting. I like to applaud our staff for a job well done in leading and directing the vision of the City Council during that process, and we do anticipate a formal application for our first multifamily project in the very near future. And then lastly, one of the council's objectives when I was hired was to streamline our processes to become more user-friendly and to engender a bias for rethinking and rearranging the organizational structure of governance around a strategic mission. To that end, we are promoting regulatory modernization, focusing on flexibility for small and new businesses, and seeking to put it on as much emphasis on outcomes as we do process. So I congratulate our staff for the willingness to take on this challenge, and we anticipate bringing a number of text amendments to you over the next several months to further your goals and objectives. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. I'm going to go back real briefly to the report from the mayor. I neglected Vice Mayor Chapados had asked for a minute.
Isn't this a great city? So in keeping with the theme of we get stuff done, I want to share a call to action with our citizens. Last Saturday, there was a drive sponsored by Firehouse Subs to do a water drive for our first responders. Because of a number of different things, they didn't get quite as many cases of water as they had hoped. So my call to action to our Maricopa citizens is pick up a case of water or 2 or 10 or 20 and drop them off at your nearest firehouse or fire admin, and let's help our first responders. Thank you.
At this time, this takes us to the call to the public. Obviously, there is the option for anybody who wishes to come forward may do so, but I do have some speaker cards. I'd like to go to those first, and then we'll open it up to anybody else who wishes to address us. First, in no particular order, just as I've received them, Barry McCain, come on up. Our timer is broken up there, so I'll be doing the timer up here. And so if I start yelling at you, you'll know it's time to sit down. So get going.
Thank you, Mayor and Citizens Council. I'm happy to be here to see these kids, as young as they are, wanting to be part of government is admirable. I wasn't for sure as a child here that I knew I was going to be drafted if anybody. My dad was Special Forces with General Patton during World War II, and my mom was a teacher, so what was I supposed to do? But I'm really proud to see these young people taking a stand. Now, I know the mayor and I worked on the 347 to make sure that you got funded on that, do transportation. I've got Councilmember Brown, who worked with water, which is very important. Of course, don't spend much time with you, Councilman Manfredi, but, you know, I'm always glad to see you. And of course, Councilwoman Gussie knows that me and the vets, of course, I'm a registered lobbyist for Arizona veterans with disabilities. I had no idea that I would be saying this in front of you, that I am now on the ballot for Arizona House of Representatives for LD 11.
Congratulations.
My life was fighting wars. I did a career in the military. I was at Top Gun when Tom Cruise filmed Top Gun with 37 F-14s responsible for their maintenance and 325 people. That's a task, but to run for office, the reason why is because while I talk to each one of these city councils between Phoenix and Tucson, board of supervisors every week since 2012. And one thing I noticed is that the legislature is just disconnected. It's got this hybrid democracy, seems to have it in for not having voter participation. So that's why I'm running for office, but I had no clue this was, I saw a great thing in the comprehensive plan and saw a bunch of people working together and said, ooh, I want to be part of this. So by the time I got to the Democratic National Convention, I came back, I knew I was better than everybody else at doing this because I got to work with the best of the best in Arizona. So again, it's a pleasure to be here, and economic development is important, but we have to learn how to work with each other, or in other words, speak with each other rather than at each other. At the Capitol, they're doing that, and I thank each one of you for all your work. It's just amazing how you work hand in hand. The closer you are to the people, the more you understand the people. The further away we get, like in Congress, they just totally disconnected. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Appreciate it. Okay, I'd like to call up Aaron Leslie Meehan. Aaron, come on up.
Good evening. Thank you very much for hearing me. I wanted to address business licenses in the city of Maricopa. I am an independent contractor and caring for an aging mother. And I just recently found out that I have to have a business license. No exemptions available based on disability, based on income limit, based on the type of business I engage in, which is website development and design, and a little bit of graphic design. I am not subject to TPT or any regulatory tax. Although I sometimes work from home, I also sometimes work from Starbucks or Firehouse Subs or the public library, and often go into Chandler, who does have exemptions for me going in there as an independent contractor. And it got me to thinking about maybe there is an opportunity for the city to take another look at the codes and the requirements for business licenses and determine if, maybe that single mom who's a Tupperware mom, maybe she doesn't need a business license as an independent contractor, trying to bring in some extra money. Or for me, it's taking care of an aging parent who is the family member, Mr. Mayor, that I had mentioned had been out to visit and was amazed at how much Maricopa has grown in the last few years. And when I think of Maricopa and I think of a lot of the news articles I've read about the growing the business here, the words inspire and motivate and innovate come to mind. And I'm kind of adapted to this new fancy philosophy of Uber everything. Inspire people to be entrepreneurs. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to design a fancy bridge or do anything technologically innovative such as that. But I love the work that I do very much. And being able to connect with others in Maricopa, if not around the valley, in the work that I do also brings me back to why I live in Maricopa, which I gladly share with people. I love the community here. And I also just very quickly wanted to say thank you to everybody involved who's been working on growing our city infrastructure, especially on the highway issues. And I am hoping that we win on appeal on that because I really do want to see our city grow, and this would be a wonderful thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. I'd like to invite up Shelley Gillespie.
I get this down where I can talk. Good evening, council, mayor, staff, and everyone in the community. I'm Shelley Gillespie from Copa Shorts Film Fest. Am I sound okay? And I wanted to thank you all for being so supportive. I'll tell you some things that have been brewing for the Copa Shorts Film Fest. Well, one thing was last week we were giving a joint program with the library, and we got cut off because of that storm. Suddenly the lights were gone in the library, and I stayed to help some of our young students who were in my course, my program about screenwriting so that they could get home safely. So that was the first thing. We're going to be having workshops in September, both across the county to reach out and grab people to bring them back here, and also at Maricopa CAC campus. That's on September 15th. And we have really excellent, experienced people who can inspire people to help learn the skills that it takes to do films and screenwriting. Now we're preparing for a really new, wonderful experience, and we're very excited and happy to say that on September 15th, February 24th, I'm finished with those, February 24th, we're going to be here in this council chambers and in the lobby doing our film festival, and we're very excited to be hosted here. It's going to be a wonderful event. We're going to have music and food and all sorts of great things. The day before, we're going to be at Performing Arts Center over at the Maricopa High School, and that's going to be a student film festival that will be available to middle and high school students from anywhere, but we're hoping we can really foster a lot of involvement with students. So that's one thing we're working on. So we're finding a lot of excited people who are energized and really helpful, and I can't thank the people on the staff enough for being supportive. We're eager to be part of the arts, and indeed, we are going to be involved with a STEAM organization that the auction have, and we're going to present probably every night of the week. I think it's the week of November 6th, and so each night there'll be a different location in Maricopa, and we are hoping to present under each of those guises of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And we're going to see if we can get some more students and people involved with that. So those are some of the things we're working on in the community, working with students and residents, and we're working to make this a wonderful place for people to come and be entertained and to learn. So thank you for helping that be happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shelley. The next one I have is for Lynette Caraselli. Lynette, come on up.
Thank you for leaving it for me, Shelley. To the Honorable Mayor Price, to the esteemed members of the City Council, to the distinguished citizens of Maricopa, good evening. My name is Lynette Caraselli. I serve as the president of the Kappa Eta Sigma Alumni Chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I wanted to bring to your attention a national program that we do here in Maricopa and across the globe, because we are a global organization, 95-year service organization. It's called Operation Big Book Bag. We are the originators of the Book Bag Drive. School has started. Welcome to the 2018-2019 school year. I am a teacher here in the district. I teach 8th grade at Desert Wind Middle School, and our babies still need school supplies. So my chapter is doing a school drive. I'm not asking for anything. We have what we need. What I need from the citizens, if you know of any children who still are in need of school supplies, please contact me at scottsdalesgrho@gmail.com. scottsdalesgrho@gmail.com. We want to provide our children with the tools they need to be successful this school year, because without pencil, pen, book bag, they cannot meet the expectations of the classroom. So again, if you know of any children who are in need, I am gladly able to help them out. Madam Vice Mayor, I accept your challenge of the water bottle donation, and I will be donating on behalf of my chapter 22 cases. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lynette. Up next is Tina Dugan. Where's my warning?
I know that Dennis was like, oh, Tina, what are you going to say?
No, that's
Good
what I was
evening,
saying.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I am Tina Dugan, and I am a small business owner in Maricopa. I've owned a small business for 21 years as of August 1st, and I'm coming to you tonight because A friend of mine who had an issue with business licenses brought him back up, and I'm sure most of you have listened to me with my concerns. And it was best put, City Manager Horst, I couldn't have asked for a better manager's report tonight than when you said, we're looking for flexibility on outcome versus the process. I have a concern with the fact that every single person that does any business has to have a license in our city. So I did some research, and I found in the City of Chandler Code of Ordinances, and I owned a business in Chandler, so therefore I'm kind of close to that. They actually have section 61-3 of their code, which is for exemptions for business license. Some of the things that are included: number F, a person engaging in business providing educational lessons, tutoring, swimming lessons in a non-commercial location, i.e. the mom or dad trying to make an extra buck by teaching guitar lessons or swim lessons does not have to have a business license in the City of Chandler. How about the child care or babysitting provider who isn't required to be licensed by the state? They're exempt in the City of Chandler. An independent contractor or sales representative who is not registered as a separate legal entity and offers products on behalf of a parent organization. Tupperware Ladies, LuLaRoe, Scentsy, all of those, these poor moms are trying to make a buck, and we want $50 a year for a business license in the City of Maricopa from them. And finally, something near and dear to my heart, my newest endeavor, I'm a realtor. I'm an independent contractor. We're covered under Title IX. All real estate transactions are done through our broker. While we do all the legwork, every bit of the financial and everything goes through a broker. That's the way Arizona law is. But yet, according to our city code, I'm in violation because I do not have a separate business license as an independent contractor. I'm asking you to think about revisiting this and looking for exemptions as we look to improve our processes. Thank you.
Thanks, Tina. Appreciate it. So those are all the speaker cards I have at this time. Anyone else like to approach the podium and address us? Councilmember Wade.
Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, family, I just wanted to bring to your attention the new Council Member on the Corner event. It will be Council Member on the Corner / Coffee with the Chief. The Chief and I have done this before, where we've had joint sessions, depending on what the subject is. First time we did it was human trafficking, I believe it was. We did an event on. So this coming Saturday, August 11th, the topic will be empowering citizens with disabilities. There is an organization called the Empowerment Center in Phoenix. They have a program called Ability 360, where they talk about the resources that are available to people with disabilities. So we're going to have a representative come. She knows both Maricopa and Pinal contacts as well. So it'll be good to have her here. It'll be Saturday, 9 o'clock to 10:30 a.m. That's Saturday, 9 to 10:30 at Global Water. And I have some flyers out there in the front if you need the address information or additional information. So it's Council Member on the Corner, Coffee with the Chief. I appreciate it, Chief. Thank you very much for participating or allowing us to participate with you. And if you have any questions, you can reach me at 602-619-4440. That's 602-619-4440. Action is what we're about. Thank you.
Council Member. Vice Mayor.
Mayor, fellow council members, fellow citizens, I'm here with an announcement for you to save the date, Saturday, January 26, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It will be our 4th annual Senior Info Expo. We're also very excited to announce a brand new partner this year. We are moving from City Hall to Central Arizona College Maricopa campus. So this is a free event. It's a number of different resources. We're going to be starting to solicit for our exhibitors. We've got room for probably over 45 exhibitors. The object is to share your resources with the citizens of Maricopa, whether they be seniors, caregivers, or people talking about giving caregiving support to our seniors. So again, January 26th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at CAC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Ms. Ritchie.
I have notes. It's my first time approaching the council.
Have you?
I'll keep it brief, but I do want to thank especially Christian Price for updating us on the city's economic development. I think it really does show the strengths in our city's ability to create and maintain relationships, as well as our interactions between different entities. So I really appreciate that, especially since we are working so hard between MAG and different things to get progress on the city for the 347. And I also wanted to address Councilmember Wade. Thank you so much for your work and encouraging youth to continue their civic engagement. It's just a beautiful thing. I'm so proud to be a part of a city and have someone leading our city that really cares about our youth and continues to move forward with that. So thank you so much. Between your program and Be Awesome Youth Coalition, it's just amazing to see how much kids can do. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paige. Appreciate it. Rich.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Maricopa. Good evening. We were a little busy on Saturday. We were at a forum, so I was unable to donate, and I just wanted to let you know that I'd like to donate 50 cases for fire and police. As you know, it's very close to my heart. So I'd like to donate 50 cases as long as I can get a way to get them. So I'll talk with fire and police about that one, but we were busy that day, and I just want to make sure that we do get those cases to them because it's very important. So thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it. Anyone else at this time like to approach the podium? Come on up.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, City of Maricopa. I want to thank all of you because as a mom of Maricopa, and I've lived here twice, but I feel very passionate about this city. I feel very passionate about the youth, and I want to thank Councilman Wade and Brown. You guys have been always so supportive with my child. Being a young African-American in this country that we live in, a lot of times they come under attack, and they are unfairly targeted. So I appreciate the mentoring. I appreciate that he can look around and see people that look like him doing something positive and people who don't look like him, that are welcoming, inviting, and that are not setting up extra barriers for him to have to overcome. So thank you so much for that. I know, Mayor, we've interacted for years, and a lot of you, I've seen you around town. Even the chief, I appreciate him. We've done a couple things with NAACP and stuff like that, but I just appreciate everyone for embracing the youth, allowing me as a mother to be able to sit back and watch my child get opportunities to shine and to have great leadership. Even our new city manager, I appreciate the time you just spent, interacting with my child. Thank you guys all for that. And everyone else in the city, thank you.
Be sure and state your name for the record.
Yes, I'm Tom Bogle. I am actually the Scoutmaster for Boy Scout Troop 945, located here in Maricopa. I'm also the Executive Director for the Association for Teaching Kids Economics, which is an international organization focusing on bringing economic education to K through 8 classrooms, a seriously underserved segment of academics. Not just here, but across the country and across the world. I just want to reiterate the voice or the concern that has been voiced by some of my fellow citizens this evening regarding business licensures and certifications. And I speak from experience both as a former educator in teaching entrepreneurship at the high school level, now also teaching economics at various educational levels, the role that these barriers to entry place on the citizenry, on the entrepreneurial spirit that we face. I understand there are security and safety measures. You want to know who is doing business in the community, what the nature of their business is, and there definitely is a role for you to play in that. But I can also speak from the perspective of a business owner who was never able to get their business up and running in the city of Chandler due to burdensome restrictions that bore no relation to the safety of my consumers or to the citizenry in general. That these restrictions can place undue burdens, especially on low-income members of the community who desperately need that opportunity to pursue their own entrepreneurial initiative, to follow that dream, even if it is a failure their first time, to be able to gain that experience, to be able to learn from their failure to better serve their community members in the future. I would encourage anyone who is interested in this to look into the research of a nonprofit pro bono legal counsel from the Institute for Justice, who has worked diligently across the country, especially in heavily minority communities, to remove some of these burdensome regulations, to ensure that all members of the community, not just those who come from positions of privilege, have the opportunity to pursue those entrepreneurial ventures, especially as economic development has played such a crucial role in our meeting this evening. I think that's definitely something that would be of value to the council, to the city manager's office, and I would be glad to offer any assistance that I can in the research. I know it is difficult research to pursue. I'd be happy to offer any service that I can in that process, and to then report back with the school community on the role that they might be able to play, especially as young students wanting to pursue entrepreneurial ventures. What does that mean for them? What do those regulations mean for them? And how best to go about working with the city council, working within the legal regulatory framework in which they do live, but also to make those opportunities available to them and to share that entrepreneurial spirit in their community. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Anyone else wish to approach the podium at this time? Okay, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public. Again, thank you very much for your participation. We appreciate it. And again, as a reminder, usually I say this at the beginning, but you don't see us answering some of those questions. It's not because we don't want to, it's because legally we can't, but it doesn't mean we won't work on them, and we'll be talking with the city manager. And I know that both planning and development, as well as economic development, and the city manager, we've all had these discussions on actually city business licenses. So it's in the works, but other than that, we'll talk to you more about it as we move down the way. But again, thank you very much for your opinions and participation. That takes us to item 7 on the agenda, which is the meeting minutes, items 7.1 and 7.2. Council, if you don't have any questions or concerns there, can I have a motion to approve, please?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on these items? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. This time, Section 8, there is no public hearing, so we'll move on to consent agenda. Please be advised that item 9.1 has been moved to regular, and so we'll get to that in a moment. So can I have a motion to approve items 9.1 through 9, excuse me, let me rephrase that, 9.2 through 9.7, please? There's a motion. Is there a second? And a second over there. Any further discussion on any of these items on consent? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion also carries. That'll take us to item 9.1. Councilwoman Gussie asked that this one be removed from consent, and based on the removal from the presentation that we had earlier scheduled for Amita, I think it would make sense that we throw it over to her for a possible recommendation on what to do with this item. Councilwoman.
Yes, I would like to see this moved to tabled for a later date when MITA can present. This is $125,000 of city funds going towards MITA, and I think the citizens deserve a presentation from MITA before approving this.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to motion to table this item.
So there's a motion to table. Is there a second? There's a second. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much. Well, folks, that was about the fastest city council meeting ever. So at least on the agenda items. Again, thank you for your participation. Council, we have no e-session. So with that, I would move that we move to conclusion. Is there a second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We will stand adjourned for 1 month as we will not be here. We will be at the Arizona League of Cities and Towns here in 2 weeks. See you in September.